Up next, we have panel discussion, which is about controlling Scope 3 carbon emission in procurement, strategies for effective ESG implementations. For the same, I would request moderator to join us on the stage. I would like to introduce the moderator. Mr. Mukesh Nandan is an experienced professional in the power sector, specializing in solar, Genco, and Transco project with more than 2 decades with KEC, Sterlite, Adani, UB, Reliance, and presently with Vikran Group. His expertise lies in techno-commercial aspects of purchase and contracts. With a strong focus on supply chain management, Mukesh has successfully led procurement and tender activities for substations and battery energy storage systems in collaboration with prestigious firms like Sterlite and KEC. His strengths include contract negotiations, risk assessment, and strategic business development in complex, client-specific environments. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our moderator for the session, Mr. Mukesh Nandan Jha, General Manager, Supply Chain and Logistics at Vikran Engineering and XM Private Limited. I would request the following panelists to join us on the stage. Dr. Sanjay Gupta, Chief Procurement Officer at Adani Group. Mr. Pratyush Kadam, Head Procurement and Logistics at Evonik India Private Limited. Mr. Gaurav Pandit, General Manager Supply Chain Management at Thermo Fisher Scientific India Private Limited. Mr. Vishwas Kulkarni, General Manager Procurement and Supply Chain at Legrand. Mr. Nitin Athavle, General Manager Head Sourcing at Rachana Lifestyle. And Mr. Pradeep Kumar Sharma, Associate Vice President Supply Chain Management at Sun Pharma. I would request Mr. Mukesh to kindly begin with the panel discussion.
Thank you. Am I audible? I think so. So, it's nice, I think all the brief she has given to you and 20 years of experience, more than 20 years of experience in the power sector. I was taking care for all the points there with ESG, with solar, with thermal, and all the industries who are coming to the power and benefited to the, as well as benefited to the our organization and to the public domain also. So we all 6, and thanks to the gain skill, because I think all the 6 gems on a single dice, it's a great deal for the gain skill. Thank you, thanks for it. We could start.
Thank you.
Yeah, please. So, with the start, I think I'm audible to all. With the start of our panel discussion topic on the controlling of Scope 3 carbon emissions in the industry or from all the things. So, as when in the old and when I have started my career, and the peoples are thinking about the importance of safety into the industry is only 40%. I don't think so ki people are considering about the safety at that time. So then day by day increasing the safety importance in the industry, then we are moving from safety to health, and now and the last 10 years from health to environment, which is considering our one of the topics. So today we will cater the Scope 3 carbon emissions and the control of this through the use of procurement, because Scope 1, who are the industry direct user of that, who they are the upstream of the carbon emissions CO2. So many things, like if we are using if you are giving a methane to the world, so they are thinking about the sustainability. If the 1 metric ton of methane is equivalent to the 28 metric ton of carbon, so the CO2 emissions, so sustainability in the market, and What? Because the world is coming towards the sustainability reports and coming with their effect on the globalization. So the things with the supply chain and the leader of procurement, we are thinking that how to control this. And why we are thinking? Because without any budget and without any fund, nobody is going to think about this. So completely we are coming with the CSR, the percentage of funds from that, and the role of governance is important on this, so that we could think about the sustainability. We could reduce this carbon emission, because so that it will be the noble cause. It's not for the single me, not for, this is for all of us. So how we can sustain in the environment, how can we reduce this GSG effect with, and how could we reduce this emission of carbon. So I am going further, because start with Sanjay, because Sanjay has the maximum experience with Adani, and he has taken care of cement industry also, and maximum points he will cover with the how environment he is going to improve day by day with respect to the CSR activity, and as well as ESG roles he has. Continue with this.
So thank you very much for panelists. You have invited me to come to here. So can you talk about the industry size, which I am belonging? We have around 1,500 buyers in our company. We are catering around 1 lakh crore procurement in a year. So can you see the business volume and business? So right now in a CSR, or especially in the ESG, what exactly ESG is? It is just like, you can define it a different way. It is a value in our future. Right now, what we give our society, what we give our next generation. We have enough money, enough wealth, but what about the environment? What about this? Is it, like, and I have just example in outside, while we were suffering with the COVID, what we required, oxygen level 98. Is it fulfilled by the money? It is fulfilled by anything else? It is fulfilled by the position? You required only oxygen. Similar model in the ESG, what our society needs for the future. It is a ESG, simple form. There are no social, everything is inside of the ESG. But can you think about the future? Can you think about the next generation? This is the ESG. And what about the level 3 or level 1? It is again defined a very simple word. Direct raw material, direct consumer, level 1, level 2. Third, indirect consumer, and indirect supports are the level 3 scopes, which is fulfillment of the, again, ABC rules. The 30-70% and remain 30% is come from the level 3. So how to we leverage the level 3? Because level 3 is the most vital scopes. There is directly scope 1 and scope 2, directly you can calculate it, and directly it's control in your hand. Where you leverage the capital investment, you leverage the external, whatever the position. But when you talk about the level 3, it is not beyond your control. So there is a parameters, and there is a regulatory things, there is a anticipation thing, there is a deep dive on things, then you leverage the balancing of the level 3. Right. So I think it is more than sufficient. You have to analyze the data first, what level 3 is. Because most of the time people not confirm what is the level 1, level 2, 3, and what is the fall in the level 3 scopes. Level 3 means anything else without the raw material and the indirect raw material, it's fall in the level 3. Means whatever external services, inbound logistics or outbound logistics, it is a part of the level 3. Any of the HR social values which is directly involved with the level 1, level 2 supplier or tier 1 supplier, it will fall on the level 3. Your packaging material will fall on the level 3 because you don't have a use of this. Your stationery is fall on the level 3. Your water conservation, social structure, your plantation, everything is fall on the level 3. So other than your product, which is directly visible, is a fall of the level 3 with a simple method. And it is very easy to capture the data, but you have to make it yourself with the resource planning, better the open mindset. And then you can calculate the, right. And at the sense of the CSR, government or the industry give you some benchmark that you get the leverage of the CSR 2% or 3%. It is a just allocation budget. But if you improvise the life of the social engineering, if you improvise life of the humans, it is the 100% you can generate the wealth. And my opinion, my colleagues are talking about the ESG is a cost. In my opinion, EGS is you are the money founders. It is a bank of the money. When you deeply involve it, might be the impact, immediate impact is showing some money here. But when you deeply inside it, long term, it is just an apple tree where you get a money on that.
Absolutely right.
I have some example in the cement industry.
Yes.
Can you believe it? Cement industry last 20 years is running with a similar cost. How to be run it? One production of the 1 ton cement, you require 75 units. And now the days, the cement industries are running with 0 units. How it can be it is? They can leverage the WHRS technology is there. And the maximum, the word is ruling the WHRS. Like if you understand the cement, the PPC cement is for the 40% of fly ash, which is again waste. Vedanta people give me the 100 crore per annum, even the day with the fly ash free of cost. Because that is now the limitation of the government. So how to leverage this advantage in the system? So WHRS use is you can recover the waste heat and the hot gases and again regenerate the heat. Can you believe it? I produce a 75 unit in terms of the production of the manufacturing, but I regenerated the 45 units in the re-waste generation. So my total use is only 25%. So you maintain the cost. Again, the AFR is coming in the system. Alternate fuels. Alternate fuels means the per kilocalorie cost of the energy is around 2 rupees per when you use the petcoke or you use the direct any of the type of coals. But when you use the alternate fuel, it is directly environment collections. You saving the everything from the environment. You can generate the waste. Then do things. Now the technology is using, you have a blending it, you have to transport it, you reverse logistics it, you have to segregate it, you have to fall in the system. It's just give the 20 or 30 paisa per kilocalorie. So you can, so my gentleman, if you remember, when you deep dive it, when you take it a long-term strategy, it gives you a wonderful. Why the industry? It's not a cost reduction. It is a cost aptitude in your values. You can top line increase your value. Now everyone talking about the green steel. Everyone talking about the green cement. Every time you talk about the green product. When you take it advantage of your money. So in my opinion, ESG is if you really enjoy the ESG in a micro level, you get it a highest level of the quality, highest quality of the product, then you can also generate a revenue and a wealth of this organization.
So Sanjay has, I think, all the experience of cement industry. So he knows about that how the green movement we can go ahead and do the many businesses with this. So that CSR with respect to the ESG. So jointing of that both the things where you can do and do a more business in the future. So I'm coming to Pratyush. I think the 80% of the carbon emissions of the company that comes from the scope 3 only. And we have to cater these all the suppliers, how we are connecting with the suppliers that, and how you can go and connect the data of the suppliers because they are the main sources of your scope 3 carbon emissions and how you collect the data from them and how you can access of the data in your organizations. Could you collaborate that point on that?
So thanks Mukesh. Good afternoon all. I'm Pratyush Kadam. I'm coming from a company called Evonik Industries, basically German chemical company. So I'm here to discuss on the significance as asked by Mukesh and thanks for Sanjay to give a complete picture about the emission, the SGS and the scope 3 carbon topics. So when we discuss about scope 3, we have to take care of scope 1 and scope 2. For Evonik, what we did is we have declared our reduction targets, well-established sustainability report, where we say that we will reduce scope 1 and scope 3 by 25% for a period of 2021 to 2030. And we also declared that we will reduce scope 3 by 11% till 2030. So how to achieve those reductions? So we have to look into all our internal energy structure, scope 1 related to production, scope 2 related to energy, and scope 3 specifically related to supplier emissions. So scope 1 and scope 2 are relatively easy to manage as compared to scope 3 because with scope 1 and scope 2 we will have full control, but with scope 3 our influence can be limited to influence the supplier for getting those aspects addressed into their policy. But while reaching there, we have to first ensure that we are very sincere about our own effort to reduce scope 1 and scope 3. So supplier will see, will learn from us, and then they will follow. But to follow, for supplier to follow us, we have to establish ourselves as one of the sincere partner in this field and to be a responsible for the society. So we calculate, as a Evonik, we calculate we will spend close to 3 billion euros till 2030 to achieve this target. Also, we envisage that we will be carbon neutral by 2050, and this will all achieve by controlling the scope 3, scope 1, scope 2 and scope 3 emissions. So when we declare scope 1 and scope 2, the significance for scope 3 reduction will automatically come and automatically come for the execution. So as rightly say, how we measure that? So we work with multiple agency called TFS EcoVadis, where we are the founding member. We have established our internal system where we calculate product carbon footprint for our own products which we use, also what we buy from the third party. And we work very closely with all our suppliers to ensure that their product carbon footprint is analyzed. So we have started those activities since 2021. So we have identified our dirty products where those add more carbon intensive. We have identified our suppliers, those where we need to work together for addressing those parameters, and then by collaborating with those suppliers, making them aware, making them work together with TFS and EcoVadis, we ensure that we address this topic sincerely and try to contribute to the society from our side.
So Pratyush, in that scenario, we have to understand the sustainability ownership. I think what we are discussing about. So sustainability ownership will come when we freeze the baseline. So baseline of this scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 is completely depending on the direct and indirect purchases. So the third portion is that purchase with the goods and the service. I think both will comes to that.
Okay. So for a chemical industry, generally a scope 3, in scope 3 reduction, major portion is like raw materials. For us or for chemical industries, between 40 to 50% of total emissions, as against what Sanjay mentioned, around 30-35% for overall. But for chemistry, chemical industry is a little bit higher than what we generally calculate for average. More than
Perfect. But so I think I move to Gaurav, because Gaurav think how could we calculate this, and because some of the points we have the calculations. So what I am facing in the market, that calculations of this carbon emission itself a tough task. That how you collect the proper data from your all suppliers who are just emitting the carbons into the environment. And if we are unable to take that proper data, because in India, still sustainability itself a big task for each and everyone, because everyone is just running behind the progress, and the just fastest growing, everyone is making their company is the fastest growing company. So fastest growing, somewhere we are lacking with the ESG. So ESG, where we have to follow about the sustainability of the sustainability points of view from all of the organizations coming from the supplier. So my question is on that, Gaurav, that how could we calculate this?
Right, and good question. And again, it is very relevant because I came from the industry, or I came from the company which is called Thermo Fisher Scientific, and our punchline is that to enable our customer to make this world cleaner and safer. So one of the product range we do have as of now, that is called the AQMS, that is a air quality monitoring system. You go in any plant, you go in any kind of an pollution control board, or analyzers who analyze each and every kind of an gases, your emission and all this kind of a thing. So these are the analyzer which completely take your environment, ambient air, that analyze and that give the ultimate result how it is viable and how you are lagging in terms of the overall quality. And then it is also provide the solution, what kind of a solution you need to implement to move it to a sustainable level. So these are the parameters, or these are some of the models which company can implement at their level, so that they can also easily monitor, track,
Right.
And it can be monitored centrally and it can be monitored through a government websites. So these are some of the solutions which are readily available in the markets.
Perfect, absolutely. But I think I come to audience also. We in the COVID period, we have well gone through with a word hotspot. So जहाँ पे I think we all aware about the Corona hotspot and the COVID hotspot locations. In the same thing, we can do it with the carbon emission also. We can find out the hotspot locations for the suppliers, like how many suppliers are there, and they have the hotspots locations for their carbon emissions. So I am adding to Gaurav only. So we can finalize and we can evaluate that hotspots, and then we can combine both market data and with hotspots, then combining each other on a same platform, and then we can work benefited to the companies and organizations as well as the environment, and for all of the noble causes which what we are seeing. So I'm coming to Vishwas. I think Vishwas, what we spoke on the same point for the today morning also, we have discussed some of the point that how environment, social and governance is coming together once platform, and how they will work to reduce the carbon emissions. So could you add some of the points on that same?
Yeah. So I think since morning we are talking about ESG and
Yes.
carbon footprint, rather many things had been discussed. So what is ESG and what it covers and all. So I'll not go into those details because ESG itself, it's a long topic and there are many
vast
perimeters into
topic,
it,
yeah.
whether it is environmental aspects or social aspects, and whether it is related to your best practices on labor, minimum wages, health and safety and all. However, now specifically remaining on a topic related to type 3 emission and reduction. So again, you had mentioned about type 3, even Sanjay has added what is type 3 and the challenges, even defining a baseline for type 3 and then looking at how it can be reduced. So type 1, type 2 more or less is known for almost everyone, and the internally those wages are taken up by many of the industry. But type 3, again it includes your primary, secondary transport, employee commutes, business travel, then even your suppliers and how they are managing their value chain. So first is identifying a baseline, and there are various methods. Again, organization needs to have that vision and decide a policy how they want to go about what is rather which are the criterias or which are the parameters where they want to work, and accordingly they need to finalize that base. So once that baseline where they are as of now and where they want to go, once that is clear, then probably there could be certain actions which can be taken up. So one is, as you are talking about hotspot, so during that analysis, which are the hotspot, which are the low-hanging fruits or immediate possible actions wherein we can reduce those carbon footprints or carbon emission, those needs to be taken care. So few examples which many of the industries have started practicing, or even we have started working on those lines is, if I talk about employee commute, we were talking about Corona and effects after that. So one of the point which we have taken up is hybrid model of working.
Right.
So now most of the companies have started resuming their staff and work from home. Either they have mixed model or they are working completely with office. But then looking at these particular point, because in our ESG policy, we have focused on employee commute and carbon emission generating out of that.
Right.
So we have focused on that particular point and we are working on hybrid model. So that is reducing employee commute. Second, we are focusing on carpooling model. Wherever possible, we are using that particular activity. Then we are encouraging our staff as well as workers at factory to go for EV vehicles. And even to motivate that, we are trying to implement EV chargers or install EV charger in our factories and corporate offices where they can bring their vehicle, they can charge. Because today, even if we are talking about EV vehicles and all, infrastructure is not developed to that maturity. So we need to look at, if we are looking at these particular aspects, how these will be supported by the required infrastructure. So that is one. Then transport, primary and secondary. So we are analyzing data for these particular pointers and how this is contributing to the emission and how we can reduce. So few common actions are you are moving from diesel vehicle to CNG, CNG to EV, and wherever possible last mile to your with the help of EV vehicles. And at the same time, we are looking at how our product is traveled. So from supplier to factories, or from supplier to warehouse, and from warehouse to sales. So one of the interesting case in reduction of travel time as well as carbon emission is one of our product is getting manufactured in West. That is going to our Bhiwandi warehouse, and then from there it was delivering to a customer location. So while analyzing the data, we found that almost 70% of the sales is in South. So we started exploring whether we can have that particular product manufactured in South, and then from there it can be distributed to the South warehouses, or say customers or projects in the South. And by doing that activity, we have reduced that complete travel from West to a warehouse and from Bhiwandi to Chennai. And that help us to reduce certain carbon footprints, or say those particular norm. Then we have started looking at our product design, because once you are outsourcing your product, so I think Sanjay was talking about again packaging. So entire packaging is coming from your suppliers.
Right, one thing.
So how you can work on that particular product design to reduce your packaging weight, reduce your packaging consumption, whether you can go for replacement of your single-use plastics. So those aspects we have started working along with the R&D, so that we design that product, or say those packaging aspects, which will help to neutralize the carbon footprint. So these are certain actions which we are looking at to reduce type 3 carbon emission. And again, we have developed a system to take care of these points. So there is an assessment model wherein we have, again, someone was mentioning about EcoVadis and those software wherein you can capture at least the major spend and the current carbon footprint, and how we can reduce on those numbers. So you are clearly aware of where you are and how you are reducing your carbon footprint.
Absolutely right. I think Vishwas has added the major points, and the many organizations in India, I think top 10, we have Tata Steel has started with their carbon positive footprints, how they can become, and I think they have shown their interest by the 2021 only. So that carbon positive, how that is calculated, because we as an industrialist, or we are working with the many industries like thermal power plant, steel industry. So we can't reduce the carbon emission, but what we can do, we can generate green. So we can create a green. If we are using electricity of the thermal power plant, then we can plant a solar plant in front of that, wind plant in there to reduce that. So that mitigation of carbon, and the carbon become the carbon positive. That is the I think bank is also involved in this. SDFC is just giving maximum, because they have given the loans to the industry who are working for the steel, who are working for the thermal power plant. So Sanjay will also add that point rather in the next discussion point of view. Then he will add that how Adani is also the one of the companies who is providing the, who is just giving the 14 gigawatt of solar power project in the last 23rd this year they have, and they are planning for the 25th. So next 10 gigawatt by the 2025, I think in the next 2 years, what they are planning. So that is going on. So I am coming to Nitin. Nitin, I think Nitin has a 2-3 points who wants to add with us, that one is the sustainability, and how we can find the suppliers from our end, because we as a leader, procurement leader, we have to search our suppliers who are the carbon hotspots and who are the major CO2 hotspots into the industry. So please you give the points on that and how to reduce that.
Yeah, thanks for calling me. I represent the construction industry. Avinash and Dr. Sanjay are here. They are our suppliers from whom we get steel and cement, both to our company. I represent the construction sector. So what I have seen is over a period of decades now, we are talking about sustainability recently, right? But these companies, name a steel company or a manufacturer and the cement manufacturer, what Dr. Sanjay is representing, or even we, the construction industry, we were doing this or practicing sustainability or sustainability practices for a decade plus decade.
More than
I
decade,
would
yes.
say. But we as a procurement professionals or we as a learned or knowledgeable guys here sitting, we were not knowing about sustainability. For example, cement, like what Dr. Sanjay was telling us. तो हमने PPC कब से मंगाना किया, शुरू किया? We started procuring PPC because we were very much aware about the sustainability. We didn't order for OPC. They also helped us. These companies are helping us to go for sustainability. We are procuring PPC bags and even in the form of bulker as well. Even we stopped buying the red bricks, which earlier we all know that we were using. As a construction industry, we were using red bricks. Now we are using aerated blocks. So, but kya hua? We were not aware about this terminology called sustainability. Our ancestors, our generations, earlier generations were very much aware about this sustainability. We all guys are now talking more on sustainability because the impact is more as compared to a decade back. So the industry, every industry I would say, these guys sitting here on the board, they also, their industries also have done good job in sustainability. Like our industry in construction industry, we represent, we also do good job in while selecting the suppliers. We have the data, we try to do some surveys. When initially, when we started this point of ESG and all, we were very much not sure about these small entrepreneurs working in MIDC. Right? They were not pretty aware about this aspect of ESG.
Right.
Even in companies like us, we're not very much aware about ESG. We, even today, I take help of the experts. I do attend a lot many seminars on this sustainability so that I get some feedback, some input, how exactly these companies or these industries operate and how do they measure their performance. Because ultimately the KPIs and KRS are meant only for professional guys to reduce the carbon emission. Right? So we are also doing that. We did a lot of survey, we did the data analysis, and the first survey I remember out of say 215 and odd suppliers in a small sector, there were only 16 or 17 who could reply about ESG. First survey. And this was just 3 or 3.5 years back story. Now people are responding well, people are aware. Small entrepreneurs who are supplying material to us, they are also aware about ESG or this sustainability aspect what we are talking about. But as you all guys said, companies who work on a larger scale, larger volumes, right? They can easily go ahead with ESG norms, right? If I tell a supplier to get integrated with a platform, a digital platform which we have developed for us on sustainability, probably the supplier at that end might in principle agree. But when it comes to the investment part, probably he might put a point, sir, do I really need that? So that's the only aspect which we still want to go ahead and try to convince them so that they willingly get connected to the companies like us.
Right. So well said. So we all have to join together and be a part of this because we all are as a part of procurement leader. So we all individually have to fight for this reduction of scope 3 carbon emission because scope 3 is completely dependent on the procurement team, supply chain team. So we as a buyer and the lead buyer who has to take oath on the same, and at least we have a tender clause on the ESG that this percentage should be the perfect alliance and our suppliers should obey that percentage rating on the same and they could reduce that carbon emission. But many times we miss this and loopholes are there. So we have to make sure, come into the market, connected with the suppliers because they are not the vendor only, they are your partners as well. So when we are saying partners, so both buyer, supplier and the logistic team, the all three comes together, and they have to come together for this noble cause and plan that who can contribute their percentage with respect to the reduction of this carbon emissions. As I am from the power industry, and right now with Vikrant Group, I am taking care for the solar, because we are also planning some solar project for 20 megawatt at the in the MP. But why we are planning for that? That's not for the noble cause of this green power will come to us. That is for the business. So first alignment, we all are doing business. Second, how that business should not be affected by the carbon. How we can stop the effect of GSG. So that all comes together, and we could plan that how much budget we are planning for the common of the project. Some of the contingency bucket we can keep for the renewables there, so that it will help us for the reduction of carbon in the project. Third, for the plantation, because we have easy task to remove this, to reduce this carbon emission to plant. So thousands of plants we can plant. I think I can see in the nearby metro also, they are putting the 149 small plants in a one row, and they keep it there. They are saying that we planted 1,000 plants. So, but that's also one of the part is good. Okay, I have not any objection on the same. But plantation, we have to decide some area. Like I remember when I was in Adani and I started the 40 megawatt Asia's largest solar power plant that time, we have kept the 300 acre of land, and I think I remember that 300 acre of land for the only, they have planted the plantation of vegetables. So Sanjay will add that point also.
So I as an individual take it an oath in that time. It is a matter of the clap. We have built up the 2 million trees in the India, 2 million ton. And can you believe it? We are the highest level of the apple producer in the India. And now we generated the 600 crore revenue from the plantation side. So one side, aam ke aam, gutliyon ke daam.
So I remember I was getting guava from that plant also.
Yeah. So you are talking about the vendor. I am talking about different way.
Yeah.
You give somebody is talking about the cost. I am talking about you give the incentive to those are the vendor who is support to you for the collaboration, who should support you to give the ESG lesson emission. I have a lot of example. Like, you have a collaboration is the most important thing. Why you are a collaboration with the vendor and the supplier? You collaboration with the two different industry. I have example, I have a collaboration with the power plant producer, and I have a collaborator of the steel producer. What I contribute is, I have a limestones available. And nowadays, FGD is a mandatory for any of the thermal power plant in India. So I give the limestone, they give me a gypsum. And gypsum is the raw material for me. So you can notice, मैं 50 पैसे की मिट्टी को 5 रुपए किलो में बेच रहा हूँ. आप सोचिए सर हमें कितना प्रॉफिट कर सकते हैं. We have a power plant in the Mundra, in the Tata Power and Mundra, the Adani Power is a 8,500 megawatt. Can you believe it? We required 50 KL the water in the daily basis. How we generate the water? Water is not available in the Kutch area. We take it a water from the sea, which is a 50,000 TDS. We convert it into mineral water now. And we planted it. And now this FGD or this KLD plant are running by the renewable power. So that is an example. You have to optimize the values. You give the incentivize the vendors. Now we have incentivized the vendor. Only the vendors who supply, like we are talking about the primary and secondary logistics. Our mandate is that now only EV, only CNG, LNG, whatever, even we develop the hydrogen. So whatever vendor who can supply us, we give it a 1 rupees kilometer extra to our vendors to just get it an advantage. We are not taking any other carbon credit. It is a society, how to be leverage the values. We have now converted all the ships with the 50% from the fossil fuel, biofuel and everything. So a lot of example. I can take it, all the numbers, all the emails from you, and I will give the suggestions to the society, just not a professional, just to a human, save the humans. So that's the example. In a piecemeal, you can collect the data, and piecemeal you analyze the data, and you can give the ESG as a profitable center rather than the cost center.
So Sanjay has added, I think, all the points in that case. And I remember these things when companies are thinking in this aspect, so company has to take the bucket for this also. So I am insisting with when we are talking about the budget of any of the single projects EPC when I was going to bid and the tendering. So I told them to at least keep it 3%, but they are saying why 3%, then we will lose the bid. So my target was that CSR is our common responsibility where we have to do that. So we could club it and the budget assign all accordingly so that we can do the both. We can do the ease of doing business, one thing, and second, we can reduce this carbon emissions both. So we can fight for together and with the company's acceptance, I think owners' acceptance and who are doing this private, all the private companies when they are doing this. I think Pratyush, you can add your point in this also.
Sure. So as continue with Mukesh's suggestion or the example, I can only say that as Evonik in the chemical industry, 43% of our global products come with sustainability product portfolio in terms of those materials contains at least green raw materials, green solutions, and that is the offer from us to the market, and we are continuously working to make it more greener. So we target around 50% of our product portfolio go green by next few years, and you can say conscious efforts are being built on this aspect as well. So for example, when we make silica for tires, we generally make it from sodium silicate, that is from soda ash and sand. But now we have developed sodium silicate with rice husk, and with the usage of that, we are reducing we are reducing greenhouse emissions or CO2 when we operate, when we offer this product to tire manufacturer. And this is one of the example how we leverage our technology, our solutions for our next generation products. And we will only offer next generation products going forward, ensuring that we have this sustainability angle when we think producing those products, and this is very exhaustively covered in our sustainability report, which we have already published in 2022. So you can all refer that will offer us the insight into what we do, and there is a lot to learn from it. Yeah.
Right. I think comes to fuels. So fuels, I think major portion is the petrol and the diesel. So why I think we have to add one governance side, that what they are already working on this, and they are planning that how to increase the EV, and they have come to the CNG, but CNG is not the solution for this, because still they are giving the carbon emissions to our society.
CNG
so
cannot take load.
Right. So second, we can come to Gaurav, and Gaurav, you can add these points that how this petrol and diesel consumption should be reduced, and what government has to do something different so that our industrial private sector companies could fall. Like I think I have seen the EVs, but they are still not 100% coming to for this charging station, because they are getting only 100 rupees, because what they are calculating, they are getting only 100 rupees for each vehicle's charging or changing of replacement of batteries, which is not showing a mass volume to them. How they could cater this consumption of petrol and diesel and moving to the electric vehicle, because electric vehicle is still a challenge for us, and how we are moving towards that, but still the mass quantity is not coming like that.
Right.
How?
Yeah. So again, it depend on 2 or 3 things. Again, if you see the most of the volume earlier before this introduction of the EV vehicles and all, again, if you see the trend, market trend, especially in India, now we can see many of the vehicle, especially diesel vehicle, they are slowly moving under the EV. The 3 critical lever which government need to implement, one is the incentive scheme. Still there is a lesser number of the maturity or lesser number of the percentages given under the EV scheme. The second important factor which government need to enable the infrastructure, and for this infrastructure, not only the government, some of the private sector also need to be come across. So increasing number of stations, increasing the infrastructure, incentivizing them, incentivizing overall route that will also help enable more and more people to adopt the EV. And third, and which is very important, that it is a developing a culture within the mindset of the people, that now we need to think about the cost point of view as well as the sustainability point of view. If we build the culture within the people, then definitely it will help to move from the petrol and diesel. I take an example. I come from the city called the Indore. It's in seventh in the row, seventh in the year in the row, we are gotten cleanest city. Why this phenomena has changed? What has basically they changed? So the important thing they change is a mindset of the people. Last month I was in Indore. I wasn't been in a small shop. He has kept in dustbin. In 7 or 8 years ago, it was not a dustbin. People just come, they eat and then they throw. The person was standing there as a watchman. He was saying, sir, you need to throw all your plates in the particular dustbin. So it's a mindset and culture which is a change. So again, from the overall adoption point of view from the EV, I think the more culture building will help to adopt more and more EV, and then it will ultimately help to reduce the overall emissions.
Right. That we can. Coming to the topic, because point is that I just raised this point because how at a company level we procurement leaders can, because we are placing services orders to them and we are using vehicles in the company for our subcontractors also their vehicle. So I have raised this EV points from you, so that how could we either we could give the subsidy or the incentives to our subcontractor so that they could use the electric vehicles in the office, in the plant. At least we have to fix that you have to use this electric vehicle, otherwise we could penalize. So that type of system we could come up with that.
Right. So again, as I mentioned, so this 3.5 years back, I introduced this project with my management, and again, initially it was driven by the more cost. But trust me, after this 3.5 years, the ROIs are much higher compared to my cost. So we have implemented, and we have this year we are showing the complete positive ROE against this project. So whatever you invested, it is giving an advantage. It is giving a cost advantage to you in the near future. So from that point of view, or that mindset, you need to set up all this cost structure and all that. Definitely, whatever you will be giving to environment, that definitely will come back in terms of more and more benefits.
Absolutely. But Vishwas could add one point of the logistics sectors. How can we use these vehicles and use of vehicles? I think we are not on that step that we can use the heavy vehicles with electric. That's not, still we are working on the heavy vehicles who can load these special containers from one place to another place. Could you please add some of the points on the same?
See,
emission from the logistics sectors.
So as we were discussing, again, from a specific ESG point of view, or say carbon emission point of view, still we are at very initial stage when we talk about EV, use of EV into transportation, logistics and all. Probably more or less the e-commerce segment or last mile delivery in logistics is picking up, wherein the distance is more, because today when we talk about EV, it is more on 3-wheeler, 2-wheeler or 4-wheeler, probably Tata Ace and Mahindra, those are coming up. Then it has limitation in terms of the distance traveled versus the weight it carries in terms of the tonnage or the CBM. So that's why more or less if we look at now, the last mile segment is picking up with the EV. But then if we talk about bringing it into a primary transportation or say long haul transportation, still we need to have that infrastructure available, because we were discussing about whether we have those charging points available. Even today when we look at passenger car segment, as of now, overall there is a shortage of charging stations. Now the even government is planning to put up those charging stations with their vicinity, as well as the other industries, even companies like we are doing it, even Capgemini is promoting those particular initiative that for their employees they will install those charger point and all. But overall for long haul, EV still is yet to pick up. Even the truck segment in terms of 407 or 32 feet XL and all, those are yet to get operational and demonstrate their efficiency in terms of load carrying capacity and those things. So in terms of material transport, still it is, we can say, a dream that we will start using EV vehicles. It will take time. Government probably is working on that with Gati Shakti and all, but then as of now it is very much limited to last mile, and that too on a particular segments. So that certainly needs to be further explored with the availability of infrastructure and as well as need of industry. It may not fit to all that go for EV in all the aspects or all the modes of transportation. Maybe instead of that, we need to look at how we effectively use multimodal transport. So whether you have a combination of different modes or whether you can combine and go for FTL instead of PTL, those aspects needs to be studied based on the data and needs to be executed.
Absolutely right. I think this is a good thing. An entrepreneur can start a special business in the sustainability report. So this is the coming one of the things with the India, because India is still back behind in this sustainability report and the ESG emission. So some entrepreneurs would come in this. So we could align and start. So I coming to Nitin, that Nitin, you are traveling from Pune to this place and you have faced today morning challenges for that. Many carbon emissions on the way. Could you add how to reduce that?
See, from, okay, chalo, let's accept that things are changing.
On a lighter note, so that public is just, audience is just seeing us, lunch is in the front of us.
Things are changing and slowly we'll find that particular change in the entire business environment as well. So in coming years down the line, we might not face it. But what Vishwas was addressing now at the supplier level, and at this point of juncture, we cannot just very strictly implement the EV to the major suppliers where we are now procuring materials, right? We are taking materials in bulk. The heavy vehicles are coming into the plants to deliver the material. So immediately we cannot switch on from the diesel vehicles to EV. But what we can do and what I am trying to do, I'll just try to share with all you guys, and you can also do it. Whenever we go and attend such seminars and whenever we attend some meetings in an association, what I try to do is, suppose if I am meeting the developers, few developers in Pune, or if I am trying to have a meeting with few suppliers in a syndicate, then what I try to do is, they know me and they also know who are my competitors. They also know from where I get the material and who are their competitors as well. So what we try to do is, 4 or 5 guys, we come together and we try to share the load, trucks, and then we bring and get the containers, so that everybody tries to save some money. Forget about saving some money, but at least we are helping and contributing towards the sustainability what our government and all of us are trying to do. That we can very well do, and we are not discussing this today. Sharing economy was discussed 2 decades back. So we are just trying to capture some good points from those sharing economies and trying to implement here at the local or micro level by sharing this truckload, so that we get the vehicle.
So yes,
and
Nitin.
Then, since I'm associated with Pune Metro, what we did, we are trying to give some incentives to the employees who can travel from their home to the office with EV cycle, then rickshaw, and then metro, back to rickshaw, and then EV, at a very subsidized rates. So that also we are trying to implement, and some of them are, some schemes have already been implemented in Pune Metro.
So this is a complete globalization of this things, what we are thinking about that. Globalization is not only single thing, but we have to work for the many, like earthquake and the things, all the GHG emissions, what's increasing day by day, and which impact our environment, our society. So we all are living into the society, and we have to think that how could we improve this procurement strategy to reduce this carbon emissions from the scope 3, because that is completely cater with the procurement leaders in India as well as global. So Nitin has added that point, but I was just asking him because he was using metro from that location. He told that at least I can save something. So electricity he has used for the metro. So that was the way what we can also use day-to-day routine, not from only for the scope 3. We can at least save from our day-to-day activity, day-to-day movement from one place to another place. Same we can use for office and other purposes. Thanks. I am just concluding all the points for this reduction of this carbon emissions from the scope 3. What I think we all spoke, we all are the leaders who are giving purchase orders for the supply and the service orders for the services. So we are purchasing goods and services where we can define all the suppliers to give us the data. No, we are not going to ask them to reduce the carbon emission. We have to collect the data first. When we got the metric ton of carbon emissions data in our handy, then we could convince each and every suppliers that you have to make this reduction of carbon emission, and parallelly you have to plantation, you have to do the other renewable resources so that you could reduce this, because you are not going to stop the works. We are here to give the more infrastructure, so we have to plan for the second B, that is the reduction of carbon emissions from the procurement team. So we could take the oath and work in this field. Thanks to all audience for listening us, because at the time of lunch, nobody wants to listen more. Come on.